So Friday, we weren't gonna stream anyway because I wasn't it was a Friday. It was Friday vibes. But then Scott and I, every Friday, we have a tradition that I think most people that watch the stream regularly will know about, where we go rock climbing on Friday mornings. And it's always a grand old time. It's always very fun. Well, a few weeks ago, to give some backstory, I think I talked about a time that I jumped off the top of a wall because I knew I was gonna fall, and I landed and I hurt my feet. And I was like, ow, my feet hurt, but then they were fine. But then my feet were fine. This time, we get there, it's early. We always get there a little bit early. We come in, for some reason, there are just a lot of children there this morning, which is very strange because the place is only open to like members the time we go. So only open to people that like pay a monthly subscription fee. But there were like legitimately, and I'm not exaggerating, like 15 kids there. Just running around, climbing, being loud, having a good time. I guess it was some kind of, I don't know. It's weird because there wasn't like a school bus or anything. Like, I don't know how these kids got here. I don't know why they were there. It wasn't like a field trip thing. But they, we get in, we're the first two like actual non-children there, and we get our gear and we're climbing, we're having a good time. Things are going well. None of the kids or anything is over on the side we're at. So like, they're chill, they're just hanging out. And Scott and I, we were looking for new routes to climb because we had climbed most of the ones at our current skill level. And there was one about 2 higher than our current skill level that I was like, that doesn't look too bad. And Scott was like, well, climb it, pussy. And I was like, okay. And so I started to climb this one, and it had like no good grips. Anyone that rock climbs would know what I mean by that. Like, it had like things, like it had like big rocks, but they weren't easy to grip onto at all. And so I climbed maybe a foot or two off the ground. I was not very high up at all. And there was one that was maybe another like foot or two above me that I needed to grab, and the only way I could kind of get to it was by kind of hoofing myself up to grab, like kind of not jumping, but like pulling myself up or pushing myself up a little bit to grab it. Well, I did that, and I because it didn't have a good hold, I grabbed hold of it for about half a second before I lost my grip. When I fell off of this, I landed on one of my feet. The other foot I landed on, I did not see this. This is just my interpretation. Scott witnessed this. I landed on the exact side of my foot. So I essentially, on my left foot, I essentially just stepped down onto my ankle. It made a very nasty noise. And then I fell, and I was in a lot of pain. About 10 minutes, I was sitting there in the rock climbing gym in a lot of pain. My foot was very swollen, which was not good. No buys. And Scott was like, okay, well, you just sit here and at first I like fell over onto the mat, and I was like, fuck. I was in a lot of pain, and he was like, walk it off. And I stood up, and I was like, yeah, I'll walk it off. And I took a step and I fell, and I was like, okay, I can't do that. So then he handed me my water, and he was like, drink water. And I was like, okay. And so then he just leaves me, and he like goes and rock climbs a bit while I try to recover. I realized within about 5 minutes I'm not going to recover. This is not going to be a ooh, ow, owie, I fell, I'm in pain kind of thing, kind of recover. I was able to walk out of the rock climbing gym, not very fast and not very well, but I was able to walk out on my own 2 feet, which in hindsight might have not been a good thing, but I was able to do it. My foot got very, very swollen, and so I kind of just for like 2 days couldn't walk, and I was like, wow, that really sucks. Can't walk. But I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't want to go to the doctor and have them tell me that I just hurt my foot and I just need to stay off it, and then like charge me like a bunch of money. So I didn't do that. And then on Monday I still couldn't walk, and I was in worse pain. So I went to the doctors finally. I went to the doctors, and I get there, and this This doctor's office is really I went to like an urgent care. It's really strange. Have you ever been in that urgent care near us, Scott?
That one? No.
It has a strange like decor. I don't know how to describe it. It has like you know, like the standard like old rugs that you like picture. That's like what the curtains were like. It was like that kind of like texture, and all the doors were like old unfinished wood. Like it must have been an old building. It had a strange vibe, but it was a nice place, but it had a strange vibe. So I get there, and they tell me they can x-ray my foot and do all this. And first things first, I get in there and I sit down. I'm on crutches because I can't walk. I sit down and this woman comes in and she goes, "What happened to you?" And I went, "Well, I injured myself rock climbing." And she goes, "Oh, well, at least you did it while you have cool hair." And I was like, okay. That was not the doctor. That was just a woman that was sitting next to me while I was in the waiting room. And then I get in, I get into the actual doctor's office, and the woman comes in. She's like, "What'd you do?" And I'm like, I hurt my foot rock climbing. And she's like, "Oh, that really sucked." And she paused and she goes, "At least you did it while having cool hair." And I was like, what the fuck? It was a different woman. I was very confused. And so then like they do all the standard shit, and then the actual doctor comes in, and she again, I'm not joking, also had a sprained ankle. And she goes, "Ooh, that looks bad." And I go, "Yeah." And then she looks down at hers. She goes, "A lot worse than mine." And I go, "Okay." And then she looks at it and she goes, she like touches all over and she's like, "Oh yeah, this you hurt yourself." And I go, "Yeah, I know I did." So I go and get x-rays. And while I'm getting x-rays, she goes, "You know, I'm not a radiologist, but I think you're good. I think you only sprained yourself. I think you're good." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's good. That's good news." And then I go and I get back to the room and she's like, "It'll take like 20 minutes to hear the results." And I'm like, "Cool." And I sit there and the first woman comes back in, the one that complimented my hair, and she goes, "Ooh, you done did it." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Ooh, ooh." And then she just like leaves. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then the doctor comes back in and she goes, "Okay, so you've sprained 2 ligaments. So I've sprained 2 ligaments, and then I have an avulsion fracture on the side. I think that one's on the side. One of them is on the side of my foot, like on like the outside of my foot, like under my pinky toe. And the other one is on the inside of my foot, right on my ankle bone. One of them, one's an avulsion, one's an oblique. I don't remember the difference. I just know the one on the side of my foot, it happened because apparently...
Well, oblique would be the one on the side.
Okay. Apparently it, this is gonna be a little gross, but when I landed, my ligament stretched and it ripped off a piece of my bone. So that's what that one is. The other one, the one on my actual ankle, is just a crack. Like I just have a crack in my bone. So she told me I don't need surgery. I don't need anything like that. She said it'll heal over time. I can't walk at all. I'm not allowed to walk. I have to wear a boot. And I have to just stay off of it, put no pressure on it whatsoever until it heals. And then I have to do physical therapy, she said. Or said I should do physical therapy. Once it starts getting better, and I have to go see another thing. So that's the story of how I ruined my foot. And why I can't walk. Why I have my trusty crutches next to me.
I'm illustrating how you fell. So one foot was normal, right? Like this, like landing flat on the foot. For some reason, your other, it was just like this.
Yeah,
I honestly, I don't know how you even got to that position.
And the weirdest part about it was, like I said, I fell from such a short distance. Like it wasn't even like I fell far. It was just the way.
You probably legitimately only fell 3 feet.
Yeah, I
mean, like you were only on the second or third hold.
Yeah, it was very strange because it was like I took a fall from a lot higher, and it was not anything bad, but just the way I fucking landed.
It happened recently. This happened on Friday.
Yeah, this happened on Friday. My whole foot is purple, which is pretty tight. I didn't actually. When I was after they did all, they told me what I had. They were like, the doctor left, and like the first woman, the one that complimented my hair, she's like, "Okay, I'll wrap your foot." For some reason, 3 other women came in to help her wrap my foot, and like they had to explain to this doctor how to wrap my foot, which was just a strange thing that happened to me. But the best part was when she pulled off the wrapping I was already wearing, because she hadn't actually seen my foot yet, she pulled off and she went, ooh, ooh. And she was like, that hurts, doesn't it? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, it does.